Men don't collapse when life hits them. They collapse while adapting. People think men break when everything collapses, when the money disappears, when respect is lost, when someone walks away. But that's not where it happens. Men don't break in the moment of impact. They break quietly, while adapting. Nobody teaches a man how to suffer with awareness. They just tell him to endure, to stay composed, to move forward. So he does. He keeps moving, even when something inside him starts changing. There is a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It doesn't ask for attention. It doesn't interrupt your day. It settles in. It adjusts your posture, your tone, your expectations. And the world keeps treating you the same. Because from the outside, you still function. Suffering isn't the danger. The danger is what suffering demands in exchange. It asks for restraint. It asks for emotional silence. It asks you to stay controlled, even when everything inside wants to react. And slowly, if you're not paying attention, it asks you to give up parts of yourself you never meant to lose. Men aren't afraid of pain. They're afraid of becoming someone they don't respect. Because there's a line, thin, invisible, between strength and emotional numbness, between discipline and self-erasure. Somewhere along the way, many men confuse peace with the absence of feeling. They confuse control with suppression. They confuse maturity with emotional distance, and no one corrects them, because from the outsides, it looks like success. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from work. It comes from always being composed, always being reliable, always being the one who doesn't fall apart. Not because you don't want to, but because too much depends on you. The world respects men who hold the line, but it rarely asks what holding that line costs. The cost of constant alertness, the cost of carrying responsibility without relief, the cost of processing everything internally. Silently, there is a loneliness that disciplined men know well. Not the loneliness of isolation, but the loneliness of responsibility. The kind where you can't afford to unravel, because others would collapse with you. So you stay upright, and you call that strength. But strength without reflection turns into a cage. You stop asking yourself who you are becoming. You stop checking what this endurance is shaping you into. And one day, you realize you've survived everything, but you don't recognize yourself anymore. The real threat isn't pressure. It's over-adaptation. It's adjusting so well to hardship that you forget what you are protecting in the first place. Because surviving is one thing, becoming hollow is another. Strong men still feel everything. They just don't let every feeling decide their actions. There's a difference between mastering emotion and denying its existence. Many lose that distinction. Self-control is power, but without awareness, it becomes self-destruction in slow motion. Silence is useful, but it should never become a grave. Discipline builds structure, but it should never erase meaning. You don't have to become cold to be taken seriously. You don't have to suppress everything to prove you're capable. You don't have to carry all the weight alone to be worthy. Real strength is the ability to feel pressure without letting it reshape your values. To suffer without becoming bitter. to endure without becoming empty. Men don't lose themselves when life gets hard. They lose themselves when they stop paying attention to who they are becoming in response. If you still question that, if you still notice the shift, if you still care about the line you won't cross, then you haven't broken. You're still conscious, still present, still intact. Stand firm, not as a wall, not as a machine, but as a man who carries weight without abandoning himself.